Alright, so this is in addition to the assignment tonight, which is a 2.5-inch square showing full coverage of various materials like wood grain, carpeting, etc. This is where you have a floor space that requires, let's say a hallway, that requires wood planks. So you need to identify the wood plank in your plan view of your drawing. Alright, let's start with defining the area that requires the hallway that's going to require the wood. So I'm going to make that about, let's say, 3 inches. So, plan view, I've defined the area, the hallway, the section that I need to cover with wood. This is a bit more descriptive than a technical drawing when you're adding wood grain or carpeting or marbling to a floor. Therefore, the techniques could be a little bit different. First thing to do, however, is mark off the width of the planks, which in this case is going to be about 1/2 inch. So I'm making little tick marks at 1/2 inch. Now the technique is going to be a little bit more free than a technical drafting where you can have a very solid, clean object line. This is going to require a little bit of a different technique to show a more organic line for the wood, between the wood, as the wood sits together. Okay? So what I'm going to do is come in and using the same pressure, I'm twirling the pencil and doing some stutter steps just to give it a little bit more organic look to it. In addition to doing that, I'm going to leave some areas a little bit dark, some a little bit light. Hopefully you'll be able to see that. I'll try and take a close-up image of it. So I'm varying the width of that line from light to dark, but smoothly. Do all 3 inches of it. Alright. So I have my basic width of each plank. Now I have to make the length of each plank. We do this generally, unless it's specified, they're going to be somewhat random. Now the technique is I start at one end, I drag my pencil to the right, start at the other end and drag it to the left. So I'll try and do a close-up of that. In this case, I'm going to have a very even pattern in my wood planks. All this very similar length to them. You'll see what I mean. Bring it up close. This is just one technique. There are other techniques for doing this, but this is the way I prefer it. And I'll show a still image of this close up. The next step is to take your paper off there. Turn the angle so it's a little bit easier for you to draw a straight line. You're going to draw lines upwards, pointing in the direction of the pencil at this angle. Rest your fingers on here so that it's you have better control over your pencil. And you're going to spin the pencil very lightly, creating almost guideline thickness grains for the wood. Okay, we'll start with this side here. Start right at the line where it breaks. And it's okay if they cross over each other. you'll develop a rhythm, but I'll go slowly for this pass. You'll see I'm actually spinning the pencil as I go across, okay? But go a little bit faster, develop a rhythm for that. Try and go as far as you can. You can always erase off the edge. So for example, let's say I'm starting at this plank, I can go off the edge. Skip a plank, move next one, skip. And I'm always rotating in the same direction, clockwise. What you'll see in the still image is that it's very, very close next to each other, all these lines, but they're very light. Okay. I'll flip it over, and for the other planks that I can't get to, because they're too short, I'll go in the opposite direction. The main thing is to develop a rhythm as you draw, and always looking back at it to make sure that your one plank is not more densely drawn than another. Going from the opposite side, it's not necessary, but I like to go from the opposite side just to give it a little bit more complete look to it. And you'll see why. Okay, that's the first step. The next step, after we've got all of our grain in, is we put in a few knots. Just very light, almost invisible, randomly placed. It could be, make sure that they look a little different from each other. Shouldn't all be the same. And then what you're going to do is follow the shape in creating some hints of a knot. So I'm making little circles or elliptical shapes around each of the knots. Just a few. It takes practice. It's a skill you have to learn. But give you a pretty good idea of what to do. Once you've done that, you can come back and add a little bit of shadow. You can do this with a pencil of a different color. I happen to be using black and white at this point. So I will lay my scale down, or a straight edge, holding my pencil at an angle. I will come in and just brush it, going in one direction only. Let's see how this turns out. Try to do it only from one side, so that the shadow is always on the right hand side, not on the left hand side. And I like to start and brush it out from each, where the planks join is where I'm going to brush it outwards. So hopefully you can see that. The other thing I might do is come in and just gently give them a little bit of depth by, as a finishing touch, adding a little bit of shading to it. And really what it does is just it makes it look a little bit more textured when you do this. Not evenly, almost randomly. Okay? there it is. Alright, so there you have it. There's our illustration. Our knots are in there, a little bit of shading, random shading over the whole surface, or most of the surface randomly, to give us a little bit of texture to it, a little bit more depth. The shadow is what really makes it kick. Remember, those are coming out from where the planks join. That's where I bring those shadows out. It gives it a little more realism, a little more randomness. Last thing you're going to do is, using your erasing shield, clean off the edges on both sides. That'll make it very nice and clean. Just like that. Something else on the side that I want to show you is when you have an eraser like this and it's getting all rounded over on the edges, take an X-Acto blade, cut it off so you have a very nice clean corner, and that'll allow you to make some very nice clean erasures. Okay. If you get an eraser that's dark, it's got a lot of lead on it, another technique is to take any kind of cloth or a mouse, in this case a mouse pad, and just erase it on there. That'll clean it off, and you have a very nice white clean erasing edge, and that way it won't smudge. Okay, just wipe it off on there. I like using a carpet, works pretty good.